Chess, nonsense, and analysis. Yeah, hi, dear viewer. So today we saw an epic battle. It actually was a playoff between two giants of Indian chess and world chess, and that was Divya Deshmuk against Tronavali Harika, and it was obviously for a spot in the semifinal because the other three players had already qualified from yesterday, and only they had to play off and to see who was going to join. So it was indeed a tense battle, but in the end, the up and coming star managed to pull through. So Divya Deshmuk managed to win, and she now goes to the last four. She will face Tan Zhongyi, grandmaster from China, and on the other matchup, we'll see Grandmaster Li Tinjie play against Grandmaster Koneru Hampi from India. So it's actually two Chinese ladies versus two Indian ladies, the last four. And we are going to see, is it going to be an all-Indian final, an all-Chinese final, or a final between the two players from India and China? We shall see. But let's start with what happened today. A fantastic battle, and let's have a look at the at what happened in the first game of the tie breaks. So Deshmuk had the white pieces, and she opted to play for in this variation here. And D5 is theory because you know this is normal. You have to try and stay in the center. 94 takes bishop b6. All this has been seen before. Knight c3. So white is trying to push black away from the center. Black will try as much as possible to stay there. Bishop g4, h3, and queen c2 has been a very recent new twist in this position. Before, many things had been tried, starting with g4 and castling kingside and so on, allowing to take and taking back with the g pawn and all that. This is a very promising position. Well, it actually is equal, but it's very dynamically equal. F6, all this has been seen before. Grabs, F4, Queen E7, A4, Bishop A5, and King E2. And what is interesting is that actually in the World Team event, Tronavali Harika played this position with the white pieces. And although that game ended in a draw, but I mean, of course, she knows the position inside out. But I think here nerves as well, right? And the occasion and so on. Because what is happening here is that white will obviously try to attack down the G file. We expect black to be able to deal with this. And the white king is also not the safest in the world. So yeah, rook e8 was played before. Moves like c5 and so on were played. The rook d8 was played. So rook e8 was played, rook g1, and both sides are preparing for the upcoming battle. White wants to place her pieces, a big piece on the g file, and black will do the same to be able to defend. Rook g1. So yeah, apparently this was a careless move, queen e6. Because it allows a little bit of king f1, but I think there still was some play possibly there, but then definitely queen c6 was an unfortunate move because now it allows white to take on c5, and the thing is that the bishop now has a new home on d4. So once the bishop lands on d4 and turns up on d4, we're going to see an extra attacker on the king. So possibly here, it was time to be more cautious with queen e6 and stick around like that. But it's already very difficult to say. What a tense position. She took, Harika took and allowed this very bishop d4. So this is a very dangerous position. And I think, look, she doesn't have time because it's rapid. She didn't have enough time to assess. But this was definitely her instincts let her down here. Because unfortunately, the Turks will have to stay there defending g7. And the white queen is free to roam around and attack. So she starts with queen b3, and then queen d6 check, must block, and comes back, queen e5, queen d6, excuse me. So you block, queen b7, and now captures on g7, bam. Bishop takes g7. Rook takes g7, takes, and now the queen is won. So now the idea, of course, is to try and hold this position. But what makes it complicated is the fact that white has got that strong C pawn. Okay. Look, if black were to get rid of let's say the C pawn, then black has chances to make a draw, right? Because it could be some kind of a fortress where black just stays there. Let's say puts king on g7 and puts bishop and moves up and down with the bishop. But that pawn is definitely going to disrupt uh, both pawns. So already this is a very dangerous move for black. The idea is that if black takes the bishop, let's say with the king, with the pawn with the bishop, then c7 is possible. Because now, unfortunately, you cannot take this pawn because of queen e5 check and drop the rook. So yeah, these two pawns are quite much because they will disrupt black a lot. So now forcing the rook to move to the sixth rank is now a big concession for black, and then queen e7. The threat is c7. You cannot hold the position. If rook takes the sixth, there will be queen e8 check, and the rook will fall. So rook f7, queen check, queen g4 check, and now threat is c7. And indeed, c7 comes, and yeah, here again, the problem is what if the a pawn was not there again? Maybe black would have chances, but now the a pawn locking this pawn, and the king being able to come forward and force some passive position here. Yeah, this obviously getting the rook from the seventh rank and pinning is a problem because it means that the a7 pawn is not going to be adequately protected, for example, here. Now you don't even have rook b6 because you see that's the advantage of that pawn. If you play rook b6, I can take, pawn takes, and then she can just push. You cannot take the pawn because of queen c4 check. For example, if rook takes a6, queen c4 check, and if you block, then f5. There are loads of tactics, and in this position, unfortunately for Harika, she cannot defend, so she resigned. And then, yeah, the second game, she also lost. And, I just saw some video. Yeah, because you can tell that they are very close, the two players. I mean, they've played for India in team events and so on. And yeah, it both were a bit sad, although, of course, Deshmuk is a bit relieved, but you could tell that she wasn't so happy to beat her friend. And but it is what it is. It is sport. Somebody must fight against the Chinese players now waiting there. So yeah, very exciting. Let's look what's going to happen tomorrow. And any predictions, guys? What's going to happen? Please write, please comment and so on. And yeah, if you liked the video, please like, share, comment, you know, and all those other wonderful things. So yeah, let's see what will happen tomorrow. So yeah, till then, for now, I'm going to say here, well, checkmate.